Good morning, guys. Today in this tutorial we're going to create a simple pickup system with a bunch of different pickups that each have a corresponding score, and that score is going to update a little widget on your screen which counts your score. So this is just a default map in the third person game. Just go new level, default, and then once you create that, just click on the floor and change the scaling to 5 like that, and you should end up with something like this. Just ignore that 0 in the corner, that was from one of the previous tutorials. So let's get started. Let's create a new folder, and we'll just call this pickups with scoring, like that. Let's create the pickup first. So new blueprint class of type actor, just call this pickup, like that. Crack that open. Add component, add a static mesh. Go over here to the details panel, change that to a sphere, and we want a material sphere because that's got a pivot point in the center. Change the scale to 0.25. Turn on your snapping, change your scale to 100, and maybe move that up by about 100 like that, so that when you drag this into the world, this will be the pivot point, the center of that sphere down there, and this will float just above the ground. Okay. We could make him look a bit prettier. It's not really a priority at the moment, but we've got a bunch of fancy materials here. Let's just leave him as he is for now. That's fine, and we'll make him look pretty afterwards if we feel like it. So that's that. Let's add some functionality to him so you can actually pick him up. So add a component, type in collision, sphere collision. Make sure that's parented to the sphere. I suppose it doesn't really matter, but attach it to the sphere anyway. And then change the scaling here. Maybe actually, you know what? Let's not attach that to the sphere. Attach it to the root like that. So then you can have your scaling set to 1, 1, and this sphere radius is the actual radius. So if you set that to say 150 now, that'll actually have a radius of 150. Whereas if you had it attached to this, and this scaling here was a quarter, and you set the scaling here to 150, it would actually be a quarter of 150. Anyway, that's not important. So just do the collision, and get it a reasonable size, and then let's go over to the event graph. So let's delete all of this because we don't need any of that for now. Click on your sphere, right click, and type in begin overlap. Add on component begin overlap. Other actor, drag off and type in equal, and check if it's equal to the player character. Just like that. If we are equal to the player character, well, we do a branch for an if statement. So if we are equal to the player character, then we're going to pick up the pickup. So what we could do is we could spawn a sound. We can spawn an emitter at location, and we'll create a function here that'll add to the player's score in the HUD in a second. So just for the sound, it doesn't really matter. That'll do. That's just one that I've got. Don't worry, just put whatever the hell you want in there. It doesn't really matter. And for the emitter, an explosion. Cool as. So just to give that a location, just drag in your static mesh and hold control to get. And then type in get world location. And then hook that up to the location of the emitter over there like that. That's if you want it to explode. You don't even have to have any of this. So I'm just going to collapse that anyway, like that. Collapse nodes, and I'm going to call that feedback. Just like that. Just to keep it condensed and tight and looking nice. So we got the feedback. Now we'll have an event that'll trigger the scoring, which we might set up in the player's blueprint. Yeah, let's set that up in the player. So go back to your content browser, third person BP, blueprints, third person character. Ignore all that because that's just other stuff. Where's my begin play? Here's my begin play, and this is the widget that was in the other tutorial. So that's fine. Just ignore that. Pretend that this whole thing here doesn't exist. Just ignore that, and just hook this into your begin play node. So what we're going to do off of begin play is we're going to say create widget, and we're going to add that widget to the viewport, just like that. That's all you got to do. And now we actually need to create a widget. So let's go back into here. Go to your content browser. Where's our pickup system? Pickups is scoring. Right click, user interface, widget blueprint, and call this score counter. Crack that open. Let's get some text. Drag that in. Anchor that to the top right, like that, so it's up there. And then set the position relative to the top right to maybe -100 and -100. That was not what I expected. 100 there. -100 and 100, and then change the alignment to 1 on 1. Yeah, there we go. So I believe that this is that point there. So what if I change y to -1? I don't really know what I'm doing. What if we go 0.5 and 0.5? I know that works. Not 5 and 5. 0.5 and 0.5. Okay. No, it still looks funny, doesn't it? 1 on 1. It doesn't really matter. The point of changing the alignment is it changes which point of this is set relative to this pivot up here. And the position X and the position Y is the position of that point, yeah, relative to that little flower thing. So anyway, let's just leave that as it is, because that's really not important. Just put it somewhere on the screen that looks good and give it a number value. Actually, you know what? Let's we might make it look something like score, and then we'll have something in there like that. And I just realized it is important that you have the X set to 1, because if you have the X set to 0 like that, it might look like it fits like that, but then once you start adding more numbers in, it'll start to move off the screen. So if you have it set to 1, the numbers will come out this way like that instead of going off the screen, which could be important. Okay, so we've got a little scoring thing up there. Let's make that a little bit bigger. Go down to font and maybe change that to like 50 or something, just like that. Okay, and see how that scaled up like that as well? What if we change U to 0 on the Y? Now if I change the scale down to 24 again, see how that scales the Y downwards now? See what I mean? So now it's not going to clip off the screen if we change the scale. So I'm going to change that to 50 again, or maybe like 42. So the alignment is 1 for the X and 0 for the Y. That's what we want. Now let's go call this score text like that, and make that variable, and then go to your event graph, and then delete all of this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make a custom event, and we're going to call this update score, like that. And what we're going to do when we update score is we're going to get our score text, and we're going to say set text, like that, and then hook that up into update score. And what we're going to set the text to is, we might go, can we convert this to a string? Yeah. So convert that text to a string using that node, and then this one here we're going to use append, like that. And what we're going to type in here, so append, this is just like a series of different strings that will all be combined together into one string, which will then be converted to a text, which will then set the text. So the first part of the string will be string colon space. We don't need C actually. And then the second part will just be the new number. So in the input, let's add a input over here, and we'll call this new pickup value, like that. So what we're going to do here is we're going to get a pickup value from the pickup, and then what we're going to do is we're going to add that to whatever our score already is. So that means we'll need a variable in here called score as well. So we'll call this one score, change that to float, like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to set the new score here to whatever the old score was plus the new pickup value. Okay, so we've got our new score, and then what we're going to do is we're going to update the text on the screen did I type in string? Why the hell did I type in string? To score semicolon, and then the value of our score. I guess I was talking about strings. Joys. Okay. Now we could add some effects up here as well to change the text to make it look fancy whenever you update it, but let's not do that at the moment. So the score will default to 0, and that's fine. And this will update up here whenever we call that event. So let's just have that set to score equals 0 for now. Okay, beautiful. Now back in the third person character blueprint, we actually need to put that widget into here. So type in score counter like that. So now on begin play, we'll generate the score widget. Okie dokie. And then when we overlap the pickup, we'll get our feedback. And what we'll do is we'll go back to our third person character blueprint. And before we do anything in the pickup widget, grab the return value from the widget that we just created and promote that to a variable and call this pickup score widget, just like that. So now that we've got a reference to this widget that was created. So if we go back into pickup here now and we say get player character and then we say cast to third person character, now from this node here we'll have access to that widget. So we can say get pickup score widget. That's the one. That's the one that we just created. And then we can call that event that we created before, which was called update score, like that. And we're going to update the score to whatever the score previously was, plus the new value here, which we'll promote to a variable, and we'll call this pickup value, just like that. Neat-o. So the default value, I don't know, let's make that 50. And let's test this works. So let's go into here and we'll drop in a bunch of pickups like that. Alright, there's our score up in the top right, and when we walk over it, 50. 50. There we go, and it's adding. But they didn't destroy. They should destroy. So after updates score, we'll say destroy actor, self like that, and now they'll be destroyed, so you can't walk over the same pickup twice. Okay, so that's the functionality of it. That's fully functional right now. Let me just show you to prove it. Boom. 50, 100, 150. Just like that. Let's make them a little bit fancy. We won't do too much because we're already at 12 minutes. But let's say... Alright, let's just create a new material. We'll call this pickup mat. What we're going to do is we're going to have a couple of different tiers of pickups, and they're going to be indicated by a different color each. And some colors are worth more points. So if you hold 3 and then left click for a 3 vector, hold M and left click for a multiply, hold 1 and left click for a constant, hook the constant up to B, the 3 vector up to A, and then the output of the multiply into emissive color. Convert the emissive color to a parameter, so right click and convert to a parameter and call that color, and then right click and convert the constant to another parameter called intensity, like that. And just default the color to whatever you like, white. Boom, save and apply. So that was quick, but after you do this 1,000 times, you'll be able to do it just as quick. I do this for everything because I don't know much about materials, so I know that this looks relatively cool, so I just tend to use this. And we'll just change the default value of the intensity to 5. I love emissives. Emissives are just freaking awesome. Anytime now. There we go. Pretty. Okay, I'm just going to close down the rest of this except for the pickup. Now in the construction script, I'm going to say create material instance. Sorry, wrong. Drag in the static mesh, and then we're going to say create dynamic material instance. That's the one. Come on, do the thing. There we go. The source material is going to be that pickup material that we just created, like that. And then we are going to say set color parameter, or set vector parameter value, sorry. And the parameter value is called color. That was what we called it in the thing, in the material editor. And now promote the color to a variable, and we'll call this color, like that. And then what we also might do is we'll add another component, and we'll add a point light, just like that. And then we'll drag the point light in and say set color. Set light color, and then hook up the light color to the same color as the emissive. Boom. Alright, now make the pickup value and the color public, like that. And now we should be able to close that down. Oopsie daisies. Why are you all so ugly? Maybe if I delete them and put them back in again. Oops. Nope, okay. Oh, it's because the default's black. So we need to change the default color down here and then change that to white. Just like that. Emissives, you can't get emissive black. Okay, so anyway, that's that. That's looking nice and shiny. Pick it up, does the thing. Now we can create different tiers of these with different points. So right click on this, create child blueprint class, and this is pickup child 50. That one's worth 50 points. Then we can duplicate that, and you can be pickup child 100, and then we can duplicate that and call you pickup child 250, and you get the idea. Pickup child 600,000, and then shift and open all of those up. Shift click to select them all and then open them all up. Now let's go to 50 first, and then if you click on pickup child 50 at the top here and then go down to default, you got value 50 and color for 50, which is all good. Now if we go 100, we go to default, pickup value will change to 100, and we'll make the 100 ones green, like that. Easy. Close that down. Now 250, we'll go pickup value to 250, and then change the color of that to blue. And then 600 million, or whatever the number was, whatever, and then we change the color of that to pink. There we go. Close that down. Now Control Shift and then save to save everything. So now we've got that one worth 50, this one worth 100, this one worth 250, and this one worth, I don't even know. Now if we go in, you can see that they've all got their lights and they reflect onto the character like that. You can see the green tint. So that one's 50. That one was 100, so now we're on 150. Now we're on 400, and now we break the score counter. Cool. Alright, so that's it for that. That's your score counter with different pickups. Let me know if you have any questions about any of that, and I'll leave that one there. See you later, guys.